Hello, welcome to episode 14 of the series on Introduction to Programming. Loops are a useful tool for repeating actions, but sometimes we need to have more control over them. In this video, we will take a look at how we can alter the normal flow of a loop to make them more flexible. Let's take a look. So, what we have here is a very simple looping construct. It is iterating over an array that ranges from 1 to 10, and each time we get a value, we simply write it out to screen. So if you run this, you'll see it spit out from 1 to 10. Now, what if we wanted to do something different? Say, what if we wanted to only print out even values? One of the things we could do is if the value, and we will use our modulus 2, is equal to 1, we will continue. Now, this probably looks a little bit odd, but basically what we're saying is we want to keep running through our loop, but every time we get a value where the modulus of 2 is 1, which means it's odd, we will then continue. And so what that means is every time we encounter an odd number, we will just skip it and carry on. So if I run this, it'll spit out all of our even numbers. Again, if I change this to, say, 0, when it encounters an even number, it will continue the loop, and that will cause it to skip whatever is remaining. And so you get here and get all the odd numbers. Now, the continue operator, or not operator, keyword, when used inside of a loop, is useful for telling it to go, hey, when you hit me, go back to the start and continue running. It basically avoids any of the code that happens to be after it within the loop. It just simply says, hey, go back to start, right? Or to continue. This is handy for when you want to go through every single element, but there's something that you want to skip. So skipping is a good example. For example, we could say every, one that is divisible by 3, right? If I go and run this code, it'll skip 3, 6, and 9, because again, it's only going to go past this if block here if it isn't divisible by 3, right? We can indicate that more clearly by saying if you're not divisible by 3, continue. So in this case, it'll spend 3, 6, 9, right? So again, we have a few options here where we can go through every single value within this array, but only pull out the little individual ones we actually care about. One of the things we can do instead of continue is we can use the break keyword. Now, the break keyword is going to do something a little bit different. The continue keyword, when you run this line of code, it goes back to the start and it continues to run. The break does the opposite. It goes to the end of the loop and exits out. So in this case, what we're going to say is the first time I encounter something that is not divisible by 3, I'm going to exit out. So if I run this, well, nothing happens because 1 is not divisible by 3. But if I change it around and I put 3 at the beginning, it'll spit out the 3 because, again, that is divisible by 3. Then it'll go to the next value, check 2. Well, 2 is not divisible by 3, so break out of my loop. Right, so if I go and, 3, 6, 9, I just drop it out of this later part of the array, it'll say 3, 6, 9, and then it'll spit it out, right? If I throw in, anything else in here, it's just going to hit the first case and then immediately exit out, so it's not going to put anything to the screen, right? So break is useful in some circumstances. This isn't a good example. Realistically, you could be something like, or realistically, you could do something like if value is less than 5 or greater than 5, but it's less than 5, it'll immediately exit. So it'll start spitting out the values. It'll get to this number 6. 6 is greater than 5, so then it'll break out, right? And so you can do this where it's like, oh, I want you to keep doing something until, you hit a certain value, right? So for example, if these were like temperatures and I wanted to do, if value was less than or equal to 0, right? And I just throw in a -6 here, and just go to the 9. Make it a little different. right? It'll keep spitting out values until it hits -9. Maybe this is temperatures that you're iterating through, right? You have a sensor or something that you're getting information from, and when you hit a certain value, you want to stop processing it because once it's freezing, maybe I should need to fire off an alarm because that's not a good thing, right? So break is useful for when you want to exit out of a loop. Continue is better when you want to skip values within a loop. Continue and break are helpful for making loops more flexible and simplifying some logic. They can make the code more difficult to understand by increasing complexity. In future videos, we will look at ways we can manage complexity. Have a good day.